Wake up, Adam, they are getting close.
Politicians, these brothers are so corrupt. Politicians. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf. This time we've got everything working. Thank you guys for being patient. If you didn't know, the last show that we just tried to go live, there was a severe sound issue. So welcome back, and thank you for making it to the show because it is more important than ever. Things are popping off left and right now. If you did not know, there are news updates happening at a flash rate right now. There's a developing situation in Russia, and we're currently following that, and we will actually update you while the show is live. So if anything new changes in the next 2 hours, we will add that to the show. Today is a call-in, so I will be keeping the calls to a 5-minute minimum. So I will be possibly interrupting caller because we definitely want to get in all of the stories that end up popping up. Usually I don't interrupt and I let everybody go over, and you guys know me. But tonight I will be. And so if you are a caller at 224-400-MARF, please keep that in mind. It's nothing to be rude. I hate being called rude because I'm cutting somebody off. I hate cutting people off. I hate interrupting. So don't make me have to. Tonight we are talking about everything. I mean, Wagner, of course, is declaring essentially an all-out conflict on Russia. This is a straight-up mutiny by many standards. NATO is, of course, been prepped. Infrastructure's been set up for months now. They have changed the rules. All sorts of things are going on. So stick around. Today's show is going to talk about all of the current events plus more. Again, don't wander off because this might get spicy just in the next couple hours. The White House is monitoring the situation, or says they are, or planning it, whatever you want to call it. There is many things happening. Some are saying that it's martial law in Russia. We don't know that, but it sure as heck looks like it by the videos that are coming out. This would basically fulfill all of the predictions that were out there as far as the rumors, the internet chatter, and now everything that was on that is now happening, which is pretty terrifying because the next thing, the last thing on that list is evacuation of leaders or a tactical nuke. So again, we try to not be panicked here. Everybody needs to take a deep breath, think logically, and stick around. So first of all, feud between Moscow and Wagner Group turns to all-out war. Wagner, of course, the group is led by Prigozhin. Prigozhin has been talking trash about Russia for a very long time. He is actually, he gets paid by Russia. They're the ones who sign his checks, but that hasn't stopped him from doing this kind of tirade on Putin a ton of times. And people like myself have questioned, like, what the heck? Like, who hires a group, even if it's 25,000 soldier, who hires a group like this that just basically, throws you under the bus on a daily basis? The Western narrative is that Putin is so desperate that he has to hire him, right? That might be the truth, but again, it just seems something is off with this. Either way, everything is being set up, and it seems like it's like a puzzle, and every piece just keeps slotting into place. Or if this was a key, it's hitting every notch on the lock, and it's about to unlock chaos. So we'll get into that. If you are new here, remember, of course, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and find a full bibliography of all of our sources. Moscow has reportedly put its security forces on high alert after Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin publicly called for patriots to help him stage a mutiny and stop the evil leading the conflict effort. After months of feuding between the mercenary boss and Russia's defense ministry, things came to a head on Friday when Prigozhin accused the Russian military of ordering a rocket strike on a camp full of his men and vowed merciless revenge. Within hours, the prosecutor general's office announced charges against Prigozhin for attempting to incite an armed rebellion, a crime that carries a maximum penalty of 20 years behind bars. So even if if this is official, and if it's not some sort of deep fake that they put out of Prigozhin saying these things, this is a giant deal. This is what we have feared. This is the thing this is why many people are talking about bugging out. I am not. I think that everybody needs to keep calm and ride on, or whatever the heck the t-shirt says. And I think that we need to really, really think logically here. But at the same time, I am definitely concerned, and I think that you should be too. And this is, I guarantee the next week, everybody is going to be paying attention to this. So remember, you can always go over to our website. You can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Just go to today's thumbnail, civil conflict in Russia. And then, of course, mutiny in Russia, civil conflict, world on the brink, get prepped. And we mean it. Again, once you click on that, you will find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. And then, of course, you will find a whole lot more. There's a ton in the overflow. There are videos. There, of course, are all sorts of great pieces down there, so don't miss that as well. There also will be caller info that is updated live as we go on. So if you do call into 224400-MARF or 2244-006273, then if you end up sharing a video with us that just came off your cell phone, we will end up putting it there for the rest of the Foogle fam. Or if you have a website, whatever it may be, it will be added and updated there. So if you do hear a caller you like and you want to find their channel or find their book or whatever it is, that's where you'll find it. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we talked about it on Marfoogle News, and of course, you need to go watch that short video that we did, and you need to share that with friends and family. I don't know what the sentiment, I haven't looked at what everybody in chat is saying and what people are talking about. I'm assuming there's probably some pushback because this is getting scary, and when it gets scary, there's a lot of people that are skeptical, and I don't blame you. But right now, it is to the point where everything is falling into place, and it's the things that people said that we were fear-mongering about before and before and before, and each month that goes by, it's like one more thing falls into place for this thing to happen. Anybody that says World War III is coming or has already started gets a huge amount of pushback that they're fear-mongering, that they're doing this or that. First of all, this channel and every other, we get the same amount of views no matter what we cover. We're basically, I don't know why, but again, with all of the really loyal people that come to every single show, having 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people watch live, it doesn't make sense that this, and new names in the chat every single night, it doesn't make sense that it's not growing super fast or anything like that. So again, there's no motivation for us to do this to scare people. I don't want to scare people. In fact, we want to do the opposite. We want to inform you and make sure that you're making the best decision. I don't use even that video. I said question mark time to bug out. I don't even question time to bug out unless it is. I've only done it once, and that time again was something extremely important. And the reason I did that is because people are asking, "Is it time to bug out?" That is a very freaky thing for me to read. My heart dropped when I kept seeing this in my messages, and it is kind of a sign of where things are right now. Dex, before we open up the phones, I did want to bring you in here because we've been talking about this, and this is a huge development right now.
Absolutely. This is, there's so many directions this could go. And it's not just what's happened with Prigozhin. It's also, what's being, hinted at or talked about by leadership in our country, by Zelensky. And if this is applying more pressure to Putin, then that can make things happen. That could cause all sorts of things that could happen that, it's really an unknown right now. It's going to be a little wild and hairy for at least a couple days. We got to see what happens with Prigozhin. If they get him, then it's back to normal. If he's successful, or if he makes a move and a lot of people join him and move forward with it, and something's happening, then it's going to get really hairy quick.
Even if it doesn't, in a temporary basis, if there's 25,000 soldiers, they say that they possibly even moved over the border, whatever is happening here, that means that Moscow might lock down. This might actually be a martial kind of situation where they end up declaring it, right? So this is pretty wild, and it very well all could be. We take everything with a grain of salt. Heck, we should have a salt factory down the street so we can get daily deliveries. But at the same time, it is getting real, and for me, it's like for somebody and for a lot of us that have seen this coming every step of the way, and our friends and family have told us that we're crazy or that we're exaggerators or that we are fear-mongering and that it's a nothing burger at all times. Everything is a nothing burger. Everything is a distraction. It's hard for us to see this happening and to know that I have a lot of close friends that have no preps whatsoever. They have no extra food. They probably have a day of food in their fridge, and they roll their eyes when you tell them to just have a basic plan. It's insurance. They have car insurance. They have house insurance. They have life insurance. Heck, they have insurance on their PlayStation 5. I'm thinking of somebody specific. They have insurance on their electronics, but they don't have insurance for their fridge. That's insane to me. I haven't seen that way for years, so I just don't. I get like going day to day, but anybody, it doesn't matter how little you make. When I was literally at one point getting eviction notices, I still had prep food. I still went to the food bank. I still, and when I was on food stamps, I put a chunk of it aside, even if it was $5 or $10. I think at one point it was $25 that I'd put towards canned foods and supplies. That's what I did. And people really need to start thinking about that and not to panic about it. Do it a little bit at a time. We've given you so much time too. Over the last couple of years, not been like tomorrow's the end of the world. I have said so many times, this is not the end of the world. This is the beginning of a new one. This is the new world. Okay. This is a change of everything. And most of you agree with me on that. So, don't panic. Take a deep breath right now. I wouldn't sell your house and go dig a hole, but if you wanted to, if you have the ability, actually a shelter wouldn't be a horrible idea if you can afford it and you can do it, but pay your bills first, because right now this is getting crazy. Legitimately, this is what was predicted. This is what we've thought was going to happen, and it's happening. And if you're one of the people that think, oh, it's all part of a plan and they're all in on it, you could be right too. That doesn't change what's going to be put on those headlines, right? And that's not going to change the laws that change. It's not going to change the bills that get passed through because of the big scary thing that they made up. It doesn't change the fact that we could be affected. Do you think that they're against having thousands or even millions of people go and give their life for something? Probably not. To be honest, it might be the preferable situation, given that they're all saying that there's too many of us, right? So what do you think? Let me know in the chat below. Thank you, Stephen McMahon. Thank you for the super chat yesterday. I appreciate that. Desert Nurse, Peter Kirkowski, Shannon B., Blue Boy 1968, James Wright, Bill Fortenberry, Bible Talk 777 over the last week. You Are Soul, Terry Quinn, Jerry Shirts, Tennessee Mountain Girl, Trinity Red or Blue Pill. Thank you for modding. Leah, thank you for modding on the news. And over here, thank you, Jammer, as well, for holding it down. Rumball, the Clown, Kenny Cams, Caitlin Sweat, James Parks, Carol, and everybody else. Thank you, Janet Ruth Haynes, and Zen1 AZ. Thank you guys for, again, being at almost every show this week. I appreciate all of you. So if you want to call in, the phone lines are now open. The number to call is 224400-MARF. And I'm going to put that back up on screen. If you have info or if you have an opinion, again, give us a call at 224400-MARF. Please try to go by the same kind of recommendations and rules that we're trying to do as a show so we could stick around. Call us, 224400-6273. And call us now. So I hope that many of you can give me an opinion or give me information that totally negates what I have been saying. Convince me this is not happening. I would love it. And again, I really hope, and I'm praying that everything goes back to normal. But, I mean, how many of us really think that's going to happen? And then U.S. and India agree fighter jet, and we're gonna go on a couple other things, and then we're gonna go back into what's the craziness. U.S. and India agree fighter jet deal to counter China in Cold War II. JB and Narendra Modi, the leader of India, agreed on a defense deal that will see U.S. drones and engines for fighter jets sent to India in a historic pact to counter China. The U.S. president rolled out the White House red carpet for the Indian prime minister as part of his effort to boost relations against a backdrop of Beijing's military expansion. Amid a flurry of agreements, U.S. Navy ships will be able to stop in Indian shipyards for repairs as Washington builds a defensive arc of deepening alliances around China. Now, I actually pointed out, if you look at all of the bases around China, you could look at it a different way. I have always said that China is encroaching on us. I did actually. Like I said, there's been some folks in the audience that gave me some really good material, a book to read, and then a great documentary that I ended up watching. And it did show me sort of the other side of this. And the U.S. is also encroaching on China. They have dozens and dozens of bases, and they are actually surrounding them as well. So you could look at it multiple ways. Either way, either path that you believe, it looks like there is a war brewing between not only us and Russia and NATO and Russia, but the U.S. and China. Now we just went there and said that we support the Taiwan thing, whatever else. Well, now India, their longtime adversary, which even Time magazine just did a huge article saying they're not exactly our ally, said that we could use their bases and use their ports. It says, Mr. JB said, I have long believed that the relationship between the U.S. and India will be one of the most defining relationships of the 21st century. The challenges and opportunities facing the world in this century require that India and the United States work and lead together. Is there something there that he's not, that's read between the lines type of thing? It says the deal came at a critical juncture as Washington has been frustrated by New Delhi's continuing close links with Russia during the conflict in UKR. It says, writing in the New York Times, Professor Maya Jasanoff, a history expert at Harvard University, said, quote, the message couldn't be plainer. In Cold War number 2 with China, the United States wants India on its side. Well, what we have seen is many actions, even though India has this long-term fight with China over the Himalayas and this area that they both claim is theirs. What if in the future, and this would be crazy, but I don't think it's as crazy as some of the things that have happened, China goes, you have that land. Then their disagreement goes away. Their big thing that they've been fighting over for absolutely ever goes away. They go, hey, you help us in this next war. You're on our side, India. And we take Taiwan. We get what we want. You can have that. That is something that myself and many others have said because there's been a lot of weird things. If you didn't know about how they backed up off of their borders, they, of course, had their fight where they were throwing each other off the Himalayan mountains in this argued territory. And then, of course, they have had these financial institutions like the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, that they have been financially tied. They've been doing drills with Russia alongside ships with China. At one point, they were right next to each other drilling. So it seems like something's up here. We have multiple allies like France basically talking to the enemy and then going, yeah, we're going to distance ourselves from the U.S. We have a lot of people that may end up either neutral or on the opposite side at this point. So people really got to pay attention and read between the lines. India, you letting us use this? This is great. Hopefully that lasts. And hopefully it's not some sort of two-faced thing. And then every day, North Koreans are attacking police officers in the streets across the country. Supposedly, we don't know what is real out of North Korea, but it says in Hyesan, North Korea, a police officer stopped a motorist in 2022. When the driver was unable to show the officer official documents, the officer demanded a bribe of gasoline and cash. In a country as repressive as NK, it would normally be a very bad situation for the driver. Instead, it turned out to be a debacle for the cop. After detaining the man for 2 hours, the motorist drove over the police motorcycle and then proceeded to beat the cop down until he lay unconscious and bled on the ground. It's just one in a string of incidents revealed by documents leaked to Radio Free Asia. North Korea is getting sick of tyranny, and they aren't afraid to show it to the state police apparatus. Believe it or not, many North Koreans, of course, know just how hard their lives are compared to the rest of the world. Many have smuggled in outside cell phones to speak to family members who managed to escape abroad, received foreign currency, who have managed to join an underground black market economy. Now, we actually know the craziest things will cost money. A DVD of Friends, literally, that got somebody, taken out. a season 1 or I don't know who cares what season it is, a season of Friends DVD ended up getting somebody taken out. So that's the kind of environment they're supposedly in. They, of course, have their fake cardboard cutouts of stores. They're horribly starving, according to the narrative and to the mainstream, which it could very well be true. Again, don't know about North Korea because it's North Korea. But as far as this goes, they're saying that people are starting to stand up. Not exactly a good thing for a dictatorship. If they have turmoil, then they could snap back at everybody else. What do you think? Give me a call at 2244-00-MARF. Again, that's 2244-00-MARF. Thank you, Miss Dragon, for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Thank you for getting a badge. Thank you, Dex, Adam Dex Mods. You are awesome. Hey, thank you. And then K. Parker Frazier, Adam Dex and Mods are the best. Hey, thank you so much. I think it's cool they let you do a message if you do the member thing as well. It's kind of like a super chat. Evelina Turn Asian, thank you so much. I appreciate you subscribing. And Rita Billings, I think that's how you say it. And Andrew Willington, thank you for subscribing as well. As always, if you subscribe during a show, I will shout you out. Thank you so much for joining us. And then U.S. Senate proposes radioactive contamination of NATO territory caused by Russia to be considered as an attack on the alliance. Essentially, they're doing a resolution, which is not a binding law, but this is a huge deal. The reason why I think it's a huge deal is because they're essentially setting this up. If you saw the press conference, you probably had just kind of a weird feeling about it. Because if you watch Mr. Lindsey Graham, which not a lot of people respect or even take serious, and the other gentleman who I keep forgetting his name, in fact, Blumenthal, Richard Blumenthal, is from the Democratic side. They say it's a bipartisan resolution that shows their support for an immediate inaction and invocation of Article 5 if any kind of disaster happens. It said that the U.S. Senate has introduced a resolution which proposes that actions of Russia, Belarus, or proxy of Russia, which means, by the way, just to make sure that you're clear on the words here, that means if it's a third-party group or a group that says they are something, or CIA dressed as somebody, that it's by proxy. If they cause this thing to blow up, if they cause Zaporizhzhia to blow up, which of course that dam might have already screwed it up, we don't actually know. If it overheats, if nuclear waste or nuclear radiation goes outside of their territory into NATO territory, they are essentially saying that it would be considered as an attack on NATO if their actions lead to radioactive contamination of allies' territory. Of course, it says they note that they were prompted to introduce the resolution by Russia's announced placement of tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. Senators noted that this is the first precedent since the collapse of the USSR that Russia has moved its nuclear weapons beyond its own borders, and it is a serious threat to global security. And of course, by the way, no matter which way you look at this, the wording of this is telling people global security, global security. This is us. This is us in the crosshairs, right? At least that's what they're telling us amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. It says it is also clear from the text that the second reason is an unpredictable situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is under the control of the Russian occupying forces. Now, as many have pointed out by this point, these are the same people that still back the story of the Nord, right? The pipeline. As far as no matter which way you look at this, again, most people at this point, according to studies, believe that the U.S. may have had something to do with it, right? And if they are still continuing to say, no, they did it, what's stopping them from having something like that happen again? If they did do it, and, if they did something to Zaporizhzhia and then said, hey, it's Russia. That's what people are concerned about right now. And it seems like there is a quick setup right beforehand. And this is something that infrastructure has kind of shown for a while. Graham and Blumenthal proposed that any use of tactical nuclear weapons by the Russian Federation, Belarus, or proxy of Russia or the nuclear facility destruction. And they pointed it out. They said if you watch the actual video, which we've attached to our website, it says, which will lead to the entry of a radioactive elements into the territory of NATO member countries and cause serious damage, should be considered an attack on alliance. Mind you, at the same time, all of this stuff with Wagner, Prigozhin, and possible coup is going on over there. So this is pretty crazy. Now, mind you, the video, which let me see here. I will grab the video here. I'll show you. One thing I found when I'm watching this, first of all, a lot of people commented on how stressed they looked, how scared they looked. I don't know if they looked any more scared than normal. I don't know. I haven't sat there and watched 50 press conferences by the two of them. But I will say this, that there were shifty hands at first. It was a little bit off, right? Now, this is from C-SPAN here. So this is the video. One thing I noticed, and I believe a lot of people kind of agreed with this over on our other news video about this, is they kept pointing to this cue card. Dex have made a good point, says, yeah, they do cue cards or graphs at a lot of these kind of things as like a visual aid. But they needed a visual aid for one sentence of our president and kept pointing to it. Just to show you, let me switch real quick so I make sure not to play this here. And in fact, let me see here. Let me skip the ad. Let's see. Wanted to show you. This is the press conference here. This is the press conference. I'm gonna try to skip through this here. They kept pointing to this stupid piece of paper quote. In fact, you can see it right here. Let's see. Anytime he's standing right there, you can see this thing down here. They keep pointing to this, I don't know, 12 by 10 printout. Looks like an 8 by 11 piece of paper that says, President JB says that Putin using tactical nuclear weapons is real. And then has Monday. Like, I don't know if they literally used like Microsoft Word and printed this on construction paper like 8-year-olds, but whatever they did here, they kept pointing to this. I think they laminated it, so it's going to stick around for a while. They kept pointing to it. They even he handed it to Blumenthal, and then Blumenthal said, look, here's a sentence. Here's one thing that JB said, which if JB directly said it, you would think that would have some weight to it, but no, they actually need other people to go, look at this sentence. I thought maybe it's because they have a lot of people taking still pictures of it. And to me, it seems like they want this to be front page news, that they want this in everybody's brain. They want it burned in, that JB said that Putin using nuclear weapons is real. If it does happen, say one tactical nuke, like I've talked about many times, just one tactical, which could be ammonium nitrate, it could be Cl-20 that's been stabilized, it could be a Tianjin or a Beirut or something. It could be any number of the 3-letter agencies. Something goes off. Something goes big boom. And then all of a sudden we're in war. Some people go, well, why would we want war? War is money. War is a whole lot of money. And if you've watched even the video that the dark colored rock that James O'Keefe put out about that black colored rock, then you would know that war is money, that it is big money. It is big money, and it is big money. We're talking about billions, if not trillions of dollars over the term of a war. And double solution for their problem, which is there's too much of us, right? They get to take two birds with one stone, or with one tactical nuke, right? So this was very eerie. What do you think about it? Let me know. Call me at 224-400-MARF. What did you guys think about this? At this point, I feel it's getting real. What do you guys think, though? Am I wrong? Am I being paranoid? I'm sure I'll get many, many answers. But yeah, they just kept pointing out that one sentence. It's like they want everybody to know, like, hey, JB called this, right? Or that's the plan. Let's see if I can. Yeah. See, they just keep holding it up. And then he held it up. They held it up. I mean, it's literally a printout paper that was laminated, probably with a laser printer, I mean, I'm not even trying to like look at the slight details, but do you see the border of this thing? Did they even have that little paper clip on the side to give them help with this? I just, it looks like something my 8-year-old would bring home from school, like, you know, you respected others. I don't know. All right, we're going to be going over to the phones here in just a second. We're going to continue. We have breaking news that is popping out, and we'll be talking about that here in a second. Again, remember you can call in at 224-400-MARF. We actually have Kelly that is on hold right now. Kelly, if you do want to start the process and get in here, that would be much appreciated. And then while we wait, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. One of the many scenarios that could happen, and the least crazy and the most likely as far as all of the adversaries that are threatening us, many of them, if not most, are have the capability to do an EMP strike. An EMP would knock down our grid. It would not directly take life in itself, but it would knock down our infrastructure, which essentially our own system would end up taking lives. Once the infrastructure and the grid is down, then our water infrastructure is down. Without water, they say 90% of us would perish. They said if we had a nationwide grid down event, that literally 90% would perish in the first year. So if you do want to protect at least your own self and your vehicles, you can by getting an EMP shield. This is the same company that DHS, DOD is actually used in the past, and now, of course, the DEMSO team officially helping protect the Texas grid. So EMP shield was also mentioned in the DHS, Department of Homeland Security EMP resilience report, as one of the ways that they are helping fix the solution. Now, as far as fixing the solution is our grid is now extremely vulnerable, and they are not doing much about it. In fact, the executive order that our previous president signed in is still in. So it did not get unsigned, but what it's not being is enforced. So they're not speedily trying to upgrade our grid to where we are not vulnerable anymore. It's going at a snail's pace. And the bad part about that is something that's going extremely fast is our enemies are creating new ways to strike us with EMP, fractional orbital bombardment, all of that. So if you are somebody who does want to, if eventually comes to an SHTF, if you want to bug out, then you would want one of these on your car. It's extremely easy to put in. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground. It's that easy. And then in less than 10 minutes, you have your car protected. It will start after many EMPs or a CME, a Carrington level event from the sun. They have all types of devices that can protect everything from your generators to your solar system, to your ham radio, to your RVs, to your vans, whatever it may be, even your boats. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping our channel at the same time. We're a community, and again, we are dependent on, of course, our community more than anything. We don't have a multi-channel network, and we don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We have you guys. So thank you. Appreciate it. And much love. All right, Kelly, you're live on Marfoogle News. What is happening?
Yes, it's Calais, actually.
Oh, Calais. Sorry.
To start out, yeah. And so the group exercise over there in Europe just ended today. And then this happens, and I was wanting to know y'all's opinion on, could NATO have possibly outpaid Russia for this, group to weaken them from within? And I don't think it's a coincidence that we also told China that we won't, help on the whole Taiwanese situation. So maybe we won't have a two-front war, trying to keep that from happening, even though it will go into a world war.
Well, so, and Calais, that they, so the one way that they believe that we would lose a war is if it was, as you said, a two-front war. China has done simulations. Russia has done simulations. The U.S. has done war games. Our own Pentagon said that in the case of a two-front war where we're fighting China and Russia, that we would that would be the only way we would lose. If we're just fighting Russia, we can take them. If we're just fighting China, we can take them. But if we're fighting both and this whole other groups of South Africa, Iran, Cuba, all of this, then it's a toss-up. So I that's a good point, because all of a sudden they just flip-flopped and said, hey, don't worry, we support one China. You guys, we're not going to do anything. You guys take Taiwan if you want, essentially implying that, right? And if they were expecting, say, a full-on war with Russia and NATO, that they didn't want it. My thing is, though, I don't think that would end up working, because I think China would take that as they would take a chance to take Taiwan, and Japan said that they're not going to sit by. And they said that they would take action even if we didn't. And maybe that's because they know about some of these backdoor dealings that are going on. Kelly, that's a good point to make. I wonder, it's the timing is everything here.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. And everybody should pray hard for Japan, because they are in the worst position. If this goes to World War III, they're like right next to China, Russia. They would be screwed. And but I was just wondering about that, because I was like, suspicious timing on the same day that we happen to have all of our planes over in that area. Let's weaken them from within. And then boom. Oh no, the power plant got hit. We must join.
Well, and just
like, it just seems.
Well, hypothetically, say
it just seems improbable.
Say they do know, and these leaders know, and they've known for a long time, and this is something that they've played out, and they know. Say they've done war games and they've simulated each way this could go. They have think tanks to go, well, if we do this, they'll do that. Then this they've looked 50 steps out. They've done 4D chess. If Japan knows, do you think that would explain why Japan just turned their constitution on its head, and now they're going to be an offensive country? They've been a self-defensive country since World War II. They would not attack unless they were attacked. Now they've basically turned their war budget from nothing to now in the top 5 military budgets in the world overnight. I mean, essentially, in 1 year, they've completely turned on their head.
Oh, yeah, because they know what's coming. Everybody knows what's coming. It's just a matter of when, not if, when. So, I'm sure they are preparing for all contingencies, because they are in the worst position. That's kind of like Alaska. Alaska's not in a very good position either, because it's so close to Russia's ability to hit it over there. It's just, so we need to pray for all of the leaders. Even if we don't agree with them, pray God touches them and helps them do the right thing, even if they don't know what's happening. Amen. That God's telling them that. So we need to pray for all of them, unfortunately.
So what do you think when you see somebody comment like, "Oh, this is fear-mongering, there's not going to be a war"? What do you think when you see stuff like that?
I don't think people want to know sometimes. Some people can't look out into the world and not get totally freaked out if they know what's happening. Like, I have a stepmother. She cannot even read Revelations because it just makes her have an anxiety attack. And there's so many of those people that either don't have time to pay attention or they don't want to know. And it's sad, but unfortunately, those people are probably going to be that percentage that happens to perish right when an EMP hits, and you want to be able to be realistic. You shouldn't be scared, because I know where I'm going. If I die, oh well, but if you're not going to die and you can survive, then you should be prepared for that. And you need to make sure your family is prepared for that. Even if they don't want to know, if it happens, then you'll have enough stuff for them as well.
Well,
that is my opinion.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I also think that the media kind of has rolled people on a roller coaster for so long that most people have been told something was going to happen either by mainstream or alternative. And then when it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. And then when it really comes, they're just in denial. It's actually real. They're going to go, oh, it's just going to be like everything else. But nobody thinks anything is, bad is going to happen to them. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Kelly. It's your first time call. I hope it's not your last.
No problem. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much.
You have a good night.
All right. Bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with Kelly? Again, from Oklahoma. Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a call, 2244-006273. On deck, we have Deuce, prepping, and Taiwan. Why did JB do a 180? We'll talk about that here in a second. And then Wagner chief vows to topple the Russian military leadership. And I don't think I even responded to her. She made a good point. What if NATO or all these countries said, "Hey, Prigozhin, whatever they're paying you, we'll pay you more." He's a patriot though, so it's according to everything they've said, right? So would he do that? Would his soldiers do that? Would they turn on a dime? Maybe if he doubled their paycheck, I don't know. The head of the Wagner mercenary group vowed Saturday to go to the end to topple the Russian military leadership, whom he accused of launching strikes on his men. Well, the country's prosecutor general said that he was under investigation for an armed rebellion. It says, "We are going onwards and we will go to the end," Yevgeny Prigozhin, 62, said in an audio message. "We will destroy everything that stands in our way." He added that the most audacious challenge to the President Vladimir since the start of the offensive. It says a helicopter has just now opened fire at a civilian column. It has been shot down by units of PMC Wagner, he said. It says that Prigozhin earlier said his forces, who have spearheaded much of Russia's offensive, have entered the southern Russian region of Rostov, but did not provide any proof, and AFP could not independently verify his claims. In Moscow, authorities have tightened security measures with critical facilities, quote, put under reinforced protection, the TASS state-run news agency reported. So just want to point out that it is officially coming out of Russia from their news and TASS that they are hardening and clamping down on their city. So for those of you that actually debated whether all these videos are current after last week's whole debacle with tanks and Ospreys, that those videos are current. And that has been verified by many things as far as the nighttime shots of all of these APCs. I don't know if we even saw a tank, but APCs and armored personnel carriers going through the city. Does that mean that it is essentially a martial law situation? This is not a good thing. If Russia has its internal structure here break apart, I don't get though how they think if they're 25,000 men. I don't know though. Are they going to face the entire Russian military? Are they going to go in and do as much damage? I don't think Prigozhin is on the front lines. He's sending other people to do it. Are Russian civilians going to go, that's Prigozhin? Are they going to take up arms and fight Prigozhin back, saying this guy's a traitor? Or are people actually going to join him? We don't actually have a real kind of view of what people think over there. What we get is either from TASS or from RT or from their mouthpieces. So we don't know. And whatever the narrative here says, we can't really trust it either, because it's of course going to say nobody likes Putin, that everybody hates him. What I have heard from people that actually have family in Russia, and of course, and people, what's so funny, last show or 2 shows ago, I said that I know somebody with family, lots of family in Russia. They say, oh, you know people in Russia? What are you talking about? It's the United States. There's Russians all around us. There's people with family members in UKR, in Russia, in China, in Australia, wherever else. We're a melting pot here. We have friends that are, of course, Russian. Like a couple years ago, that wasn't a big deal. Now, if you know a Russian, it's like the Red Scare again or something. The person I talked to that had lots of family there said that they support it wholeheartedly, and they said that there's a lot of confusion in media, and that it's that they feel the same way about us as we feel about them, and it makes sense. Both sides are doing Ganda, making the other look bad. That's a time of war, and we are essentially in a war with Russia. I mean, the proxy is there, UKR, but we are fully funding it. We are fully giving our gear. Our tanks are taking the lives, trained by our soldiers I mean, the only difference is the national background of the guy pulling the trigger. So this is a huge deal. This is why people are saying, like, hey, is it time to bug out? Some people are. A few people I know that are actually doing it, they have a setup to where they can, and they can put their life on pause, and they can go to their bug out spot and then come back. But I think it's crazy, though. If you don't have something set up, don't leave your job, sell your house, and go live underground. That's not the point we're at right now. But I would say you should have supplies, and we are at the point where you need to have a basic plan, and you need to have some sort of responsible backup plan if something goes down, especially our grid. Let's see here. And remember, you can call us at 224-400-MARF. Again, that's 224-400-6273. And this is another sign. Google News is blocked in Russia as feud with mercenary leader intensifies. So, mind you, there is a lot of moving parts to this. And this is all of these things are breaking, somewhat breaking, and there's stuff coming out every 15 minutes. Several Russian internet service providers are preventing users inside the country from accessing the mother parent company here, news after Russian generals accused a mercenary leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, of attempting a coup. At least 5 telecommunication companies, including Rostelecom, Ulan, and Telplus, have blocked the UGS and news, which aggregates news from various sources, according to an analysis from NetBlocks and Internet Observatory. Several other internet service providers have begun reducing access as well, according to the analysis. Google did not immediately respond to requests for comment. But do you remember when they set up their own internet? They separated their internet. They made it an intranet so they could do this. They can close down any outside sources from their internet. They can literally close it down to where it is only in Russia. They can separate from the World Wide Web. And I have covered this since they did this years ago. We knew that this was a sign that things were to come. I told you when they did that was a sign for this to come. We all knew it, and everybody in the audience did too. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to know somebody in the president's office. You just have to have common sense. And look at what's happening right now. They're closing down news, and maybe that's because they don't want citizens seeing this thing of Prigozhin calling for a coup. Maybe they are scared of it happening. I don't know. But what I do know is these are major moves. In just the last 24 hours, we've had them talk about Article 5, resolution, do a press conference, say tactical is real. At the very least, this could be a setup for something to happen to get this kicked off. We've been feeling it in our bones for a long time. This is not a good sign. Russia's internet regulator Roskomnadzor said in March 2022 that it would block the Ugle news from the country's internet users after a company paused advertising in Russia and took steps to block online content that spread false information to support Russia's invasion of UKR. Roskomnadzor is part of a larger tech apparatus that Mr. Putin has built over the years to exert control over technology channels. Apart from tightly supervising Russia's internet, authorities also use a domestic spying system that intercepts phone calls and internet traffic, spread online disinformation campaigns, and hack other nations' government systems. They can separate their internet in a second. So if they do take down the World Wide Web, just hypothetically, one of their big cyber events, the catastrophic cyber event that Davos says is coming in the next 2 years, which, again, weird events happened last week. If they take down the whole internet somehow, I don't know if that's even possible. Some of you techies can tell me. They will be able to shut down theirs and keep theirs up. If they cut underwater cables between us and Europe and the internet goes down, they take down satellites with their missiles that they've designed over the last couple of years to take down satellites or other satellites that can take down other satellites. They do this, maybe in coordination with China or other countries, they would still have their systems up. They have also done backup systems for their satellites. They had satellite issues a couple of years ago. They have been practicing without GPS. the U.S. has been doing the same thing. The U.S. has been drilling for now 3 or 4 years, doing no GPS, fighting in the dark, fighting with no power, and also landing planes on highways. This is if, say, a strike hits all of our bases and all of our airfields, they could use essentially any highway to land. They could fight in the dark. They could fly planes without GPS or with blockers going. So they've been practicing for this, and they've been practicing for urban warfare and island hopping. So you can kind of guess. They're basically preparing for a Russia-China war. Is it all just drills? You tell me. 224400 Marf. Deuce, again, is on deck, and I believe we have an open line on the back end. So give us a call, 224400 Marf. Get in there. And then Pregazin says Putin's reason for invading UKR was a lie. Now, make sure to go over to Marfoogle News. I'm not going to hit this too much, but again, essentially saying he's casting doubt on why they invaded, whatever else. It sounds like he's done overnight full 180. And they say because he got struck and his soldiers got taken out by a purposeful attack by Russia, a rocket strike that took out many men. Now he's saying that the reason why he went in is all a lie. Whatever's going on here, it's shady as hell. Go over to the Marfoogle News channel if you want the full opinion on that. Go over to that video again and share it with friends and family. And Russians are reminding troops the enemy is Ukraine amid fears of a Wagner coup attempt against the defense ministry. As chaos envelops Moscow and unprecedented infighting among the nation's regular and irregular commandos, Russian civilians and officials alike are imploring the country's troops to keep the real enemy, UKR, top of mind. Remember, UKR, Ukrainians and Russians, when you go back far enough, they're the same. They come from the same bloodlines. These guys, they're practically cousins and sisters and brothers. There's a lot of people that have family in Ukraine, Ukrainians that have family in Russia. There's a lot of people in Ukraine that speak Russian. There's a lot of people in Russia that speak Ukrainian. So this is, they're now making a call. If this is really going down, they're going to call out for their people to support them. And then this guy, Pregazin, is supposedly calling for them to support them and to go against it because it's wrong and it was based on a lie. Is that true? Again, give me a call at 22440 Marf. Either way, it looks like the outcome is possibly going to happen very soon, and it may not affect us here in the U.S. right away or you in Europe right away. But Europe, I would say you should be on high alert. If I had a system, I would say you're on the highest alert. And if you were in the U.S., I would say you would be on the second highest alert right now. Just my personal opinion, but it doesn't matter much. I'm a regular person like you guys. I just have a lot of people talking to my ear, and when I see more than 10 of them say the same thing and it's not from a viral YouTube video, then I start to get concerned. Because again, I don't just, if somebody makes an idea or a video and everybody say, oh, have you seen this video? It has a really good theory. That's not information to us. We don't use information that comes from YouTube. When we have actual military members that tell us that something is up right now and it is verified through multiple people that do not know each other, that's when we start getting concerned. And that has been happening for at least 8 days. So call me, 22440 Marf. If you have information that you are allowed to share and can share, then let us know. 2244006273. Thank you so much. Again, Jerry Schertz says it's because they are not smart and they think we are even less smart. But we understand the consequence of war because we are the cannon fodder. Jerry Schertz, 99. I hope you're wrong. Emily Hillard, thank you, says, I love you, Joe Hillard. Well, Joe, I don't personally love you, but Emily loves you. So, Emily loves you, Joe Hillard. Sassme has subscribed. Thank you. Again, thank you so much. And then over on Rumble, I just want to say I hope that it worked out on Rumble because of our technical issues. We had to restart Rumble. Dex, if you can pop in, did we end up getting Rumble working again?
Yeah, we're good over there. We're good everywhere.
Okay. Because Rumble has been actually growing, and good 400, 500 people there sometimes. So thank you guys for watching over on Rumble. Thank you for the Foogle fam. That is, if they work on their chat thing, we would be able to have more interaction. So we're actually hoping that happens very soon. And thank you so much for everybody over on DLive. All right, before we go over to Deuce is going to talk about the current events right now. Before we do, make sure to go over and check out Energy. This is my recommendation for a solar generator. There are many different kinds and brands of solar generator. This is one of the best. In fact, Energy is just directly worked with the Air Force Research Laboratory to make the new Flex Tactical. This is probably overkill for most people, but I definitely say if you had the choice, and if this one is on sale anywhere close to the price of a Flex, then I would go for this if you have the ability. But otherwise, I think most people are going to have more than enough getting a Flex 1500. It is a modular system. It works like Legos. It can be expanded up to 96 batteries, and it can be altered. You can actually mod it to add UPS or uninterrupted power supply. Essentially, plug a fridge into this into the wall, and when your power goes out, it will immediately and automatically switch over to this. That is what UPS is, and it's a really awesome thing to have. Just as if you had a huge built-in generator hooked up to your house that you had to have somebody wire into your system. That is what that does. Again, they also have a supercharger that allows you to plug in 12 solar panels rather than 4. It's a huge upgrade, and it triples your charging time by the sun. This is great because you don't have to spend $5 a gallon in gas, and you also don't have to store that gas. You don't have to, again, keep noxious fumes and stuff in there. And then also, it is silent. It can be run inside your home. Nobody's going to hear it 3 blocks away. If you've ever had a storm or your power go out, you can immediately walk out your front door and you can hear every single person in the neighborhood that has a generator. That's not going to be a good thing when SHTF happens. So again, this is a really good idea. It's great to have both if you have the financial ability, but otherwise I would save up for this. And another great reason why is because you can build it up as you go. If you want to build it up over 5 years, you can essentially save up and get one chunk at a time, which is a great part about this. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. This is also one of the most reliable ones. So again, if SHTF happens, you don't want it to where you go to turn on your solar generator and it has some sort of technical error, and then your SOL during SHTF. So this is again one of the best options out there, and I don't think anybody can really compete. And even the ones that can closely compete, I think this one actually has a step over that now with the UPS charger. So again, and the lack of a footprint. The other ones have huge cords that go from each battery. That ends up adding up if you really do a big system. So go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Use the code Marfoogle to not only save, but to help us at the same time. All right, and then let's see here. Dex, let's get Deuce on. Deuce, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hi, Adam. How's it going?
Hi, what's going on?
Well, I was calling just because a couple of things piqued my interest in the last week or so, because obviously there's a lot going on. The first thing I was going to just mention is staying with being prepped up, having, I don't know, even macaroni and cheese, canned food. Probably the main thing is water. Keeping your vehicle fueled up, never getting below a half tank, all the regular stuff that's talked about. Just because everything seems very tipsy right now. It's just a suggestion, and I don't know if people are calling it paranoia. Probably not on this channel, but I talk to other people, and they just seem Like, oh, what are you worried about? And so many people are just not clued in.
They only follow like the main headlines, or occasionally they'll catch something. It really takes like everything to line up for everybody to freak out. I think that people, even when they do that now, people just don't want it to be true. Like the first caller said, Calais. It's the same thing, and I've said it like this. It's the same way how people really just don't like thinking about death, period. And I think that's where this really comes down to, is the fear of death or anything really bad happening. And we just don't want to think about it. People, the human beings, up until the day they die, there's something in ourselves that think, oh, somehow I'm not going to die. It's a fact of life. It's something crazy to think about your entire life. You're thinking, we're on a countdown until we literally die and we're just no more. It's a crazy thought. It's something nobody likes thinking about. And psychologically, we block that. We don't want to think about it. I think the same thing happens with this World War thing, and the fact that we're so far from the last one that people think, oh, we're civilized now. We have technology. We have all of this, and we're not going to be in a war. We're still human beings, and we're still extremely aired, and I think it's only a matter of time.
Well, and we're very narrow-minded in this country. I mean, compared to the rest of the world. I think you had brought it up a while back that, you know, most of the people in the U.S. have not traveled outside this country. And we have a very narrow view of, you know, real world events.
Outside their state, or some haven't left their city. That's not it. Most people do not know how to point to Russia on a map. 87% of the students now are not proficient in history. Think about that. They don't even know about World War II or World War I. So why would they think that another one's going to happen when they don't even know what happened in the first one? They don't know that we're repeating history right now. That's a scary thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So the main reason I had called last, I guess it was this week, with Blinken's visit over east, that it basically seemed shunned, which was a very, you know, he got a very interesting reception, to say the least. But and then for the big man to, well, I don't know if Blinken was speaking for the big guy or if he's just talking to Xi as on his own, but in not so much doing the 180 on Taiwan, which seems very interesting. I've been working, I'm a mining engineer by trade, and I've been working on a project. I can only disclose so much, but I've been working on a project for the last 8 months that is as a plant 2 states north of where Dex is at, and what they're doing is they're producing what is called iota quartz, and it's IOTA, and it's what they call like a super material, but it's what's used to produce a lot of the electronics that are needed. And I have to be very vague. I apologize.
That's okay. I totally understand.
But what I found interesting is they weren't so much concerned with the dollar amount spent, but they were mostly concerned with schedule, which was kind of different. Usually, with all the mining companies I've dealt with in the past, they, it's cost and schedule, but cost didn't seem to be a major concern, which I thought was interesting. And it's, I don't know if it's the attempt to onshore more production of certain types of materials.
Okay, so I'll say yes or no. Is this may be related to chip manufacturing or electronics manufacturing, possibly moving some of that here?
Oh, wait. It might be, yeah. I think you're over the target.
So,
but yeah, it's bringing it more back to this country, and maybe, you know, Taiwan wouldn't be as much of a concern if we can do it here, right?
So when Biden said his speech about a year ago, or after the beginning of this thing, he said, and it was, what a weird speech. It was before the red drape speech. It said everything's going to be made in America again, and said, and then had the gentleman stand up from Intel and said, we're going to be bringing everything back here, and we're going to make our own semiconductor chips. Did you think in that speech, do you think he was telling the truth from what you see?
Well, I'm connecting the dots. It just seems interesting. You don't want to say too much, but it just seems it's like I say, it's connecting the dots, and yeah, and I mean, well, and it's interesting that the Orange Man tried doing this years ago, but kind of got blocked doing this type of stuff. I mean, look at Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, all of these towns that were major producers, ironworks, and we made, I focus mainly on process pumping and process, and, all those types of facilities, there's only a few left in the U.S. And now, maybe there's an interest in getting those things up and running again, so we can onshore more. I guess that's the technical, or the big term of the day, is onshoring more of this type of work.
So we're out of time,
and mine. No worries.
But I did want to ask you one more question, and I get what you're saying there. Do you agree with Kelly, then, our first caller, that said that possibly they would let Taiwan happen because they're going to go to war with Russia? Like they can't do the two-front war. They get everything on land. They let China take Taiwan. Do you think something like that's possible?
That's definitely a speculation of mine, I would say, because, well, and then I think there's a lot more to cover up over by Ukraine. There's more to hide.
Fair enough. Well, again, thank you so much for.
But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, I would agree with that. Yes.
Well, again, thank you, Deuce, for calling, and appreciate it. And it's your first time call. Of course, there's many subjects we talk about that I would love to have an engineer call in on. So give us a call back, okay?
All right. Take care.
All right. You have a wonderful night. God bless. All right. That was. Let's see here. That was Deuce out of New Mexico. We have Bobby, another first-time caller. That one is going to be interesting. So we'll Bobby, hang in there. We'll get you on in just a minute. First, satellite images indicate Russians begin to build a crossing under the Kronhar Bridge. Dex, I was going to have you pop in here for a second. You're probably finishing up with Bobby, so just chime in when you would like. We had an interesting conversation about the satellite images, and of course the other story with the space agency.
Yeah, I'm here, and that this is pretty quickly. They popped up this temporary bridge or structure. It looks like one of those floating ones you can see in the satellite image. You can see the before and afters. I know this is the bridge that we were reporting, I think yesterday or the day before, that had been hit by missiles. So it was if you remember the headline, they said they were panicking over it. And I would assume transportation would be when there's one bridge in and out, or there's a main artery bridge like this in and out, and it causes the inability to start transporting, equipment or goods and even people that want to leave or move in and out of the Crimea area. So, but yeah, that you can see in the satellite image, the more current one. There's a little bridge under there, and they're suggesting that that's one of the new pontoon bridges that we see them pop up in a hurry.
And I'm going back and forth here, so just doing the before and after. You can obviously see it's a new bridge. I don't see the boats that are normally attached to them, but maybe this is a different kind. As you know, we talked about these. There would be these boats that would have a section of the bridge, and if it was a river, they would literally be essentially driving the whole time, keeping the bridge in place, and they would keep the boats there to keep it straight. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, somebody I think with experience in that had told us that while you see those boats, but over time, after they get it positioned and anchored, they put anchoring in, and they don't have to have the boats running. So that could be the case with this picture, is they got it anchored in.
What's different though too is maybe it's just a different season. Look at how drastically different the ground and everything looks. Maybe it's just colder, and maybe snow or something. You can see the same landmarks, but I guess it's just a different. Maybe it's because it's I don't know. You would think it'd be reversed, but I don't know what the seasons are like right there now.
Or is that water that the dam has receded?
Oh, look at that. Maybe that's all ground. No, that's still water, right? Or, no, because the before that doesn't have the bridge, right? Looks like it's drier than the one with the bridge. Huh. I don't know which way it would go. I don't know exactly on the map where this is, but is this before the dam or after the dam? Do we know?
Oh, this is the before picture. I don't know if it's after the dam, but obviously the one with the new bridge that's been constructed is post dam, because this is as of today or this week.
Damn. And Dex, do you want to cover the Russian Space Agency recruiting fighters?
Well, this is kind of weird. Like, why is this organization recruiting fighters for their conflict in UKR? But apparently Roscosmos is recruiting and training members for the ongoing occupation and invasion. So kind of interesting. It begs the question, what are they going to be doing? But they say the state corporation Roscosmos calls on you to join the Uran volunteer battalion, where you will be trained for victory in this great conflict. One of their recruitment videos states. So I think, maybe it's, if you join, then you can, be part of the Roscosmos team after, and you get some benefits, but it doesn't seem like they're right off the bat, they're saying they're doing something in space and needing these people. It sounds more like they're looking for frontline, but at the same time, there is a space conflict that will be involved in this and has been. So maybe there is some part of that they're looking to increase their recruitments for that, whether it be, operating satellites or defensive or even offensive against other satellites. I know that they've talked a lot about their technology they have to be able to disable satellites even from the ground. So maybe that's what they're ramping up for with these new recruits.
Yeah, so I don't know what the recruiting video would be like for that, but apparently they want you in Uranus. Yeah, you could fight for them. It says the Uran Battalion, which takes its name from the Russian term for Uranus, consisting of Roscosmos employees, according to Ars Technica. They're planning to launch the Luna 25 moon mission in August as part of its traditional sphere of activities, but it is now also working to reinforce Russia's stalled invasion of UKR. So does this also prove that there's possibly a space war that is going on and continuing and possibly going even further. Specifically, this is a space-related battalion. Are these going to be cosmonauts or something? What the heck? There's also this thing in the back of my head that, if you know my theory on the whole don't look up thing, as far as like the weird stuff they said, like, this is based on real events that haven't happened yet, right? And the whole DART mission and all these weird things that have happened over the years with space monitoring and weird stuff, the Hammer mission, Hayabusa. Is there something like, why is everybody going to the moon? Why does everybody care now? It's just weird. Is it because it's for species survival or something? I don't know. Chinese firm sent large shipments of gunpowder to Russian munitions factory. So according to this, they are saying that China is essentially helping not only them in other ways, but they are helping with munitions. On 2 separate occasions last year, railroad cars carrying tens of thousands of kilograms of smokeless powder, enough propellant to collectively make at least 80 million rounds of ammunition, rumbled across China-Russia border at the remote town of Zabaikalsk. The powder had been shipped by Poly Technologies, a state-owned Chinese company on which the United States has previously imposed sanctions for its global sales of missile technology and providing support to Iran. That's the thing. We're not just dealing with Russia. We're dealing with China. We're dealing with Iran. We're dealing with Cuba. We're dealing with South Africa. They are setting their sides. This is going to be the big one. And that's I don't think anybody could really change my mind, but you could change my opinion on certain things. I think we're heading towards a big one. I think about all the things that could go wrong right now, and I don't try to focus on them. I not try to panic attack every day and just think nonstop about doom and gloom. But I will say this: people should at least have a basic plan for if it goes down. And let's see here. We are going to get Bobby with an I. Bobby, you can come on in now. And then if you haven't already gotten yourself stocked up, go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get 25-year shelf life food at one of the most affordable prices out there. This, with a $200 discount, is less than $600. That breaks down to $200 a month of freeze-dried food that will last 25 years. It's all sealed in Mylar bags. In 20 years from now, 2 decades, you could possibly literally be in a totally different world. You can add water and cook this, and you will be able to eat and survive. So this is not just for SHTF. This is for earthquakes. This is for hurricanes, for tornadoes, for, of course, fires, any sort of disaster that might put you out of where you normally are. This is a good thing to have. Let alone it is something that this doesn't expire in 2 or 3 years where you have to worry about rotating it every couple years. This is 25 years. It's kind of like a set it and forget it. You keep this in a safe place and you have 3 months of food for one person, 1 month for 3 people, or a month and a half for 2 people. As much as you want to get, that discount, again, is a great thing to have. It's one of the most affordable ways to get that much food that is literally packaged to last that long. Then you don't have to worry about that. marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll get our $200 off discount, and you'll be helping our channel at the same time. Thank you, everybody that has already done this. And again, thank you for all of those who have sent messages letting us know how these have come in handy before SHTF. We've already had multiple Foogle fam members have a use and actually come out and say thank you because they ended up having this for a regional disaster like the Florida floods and other reasons why they actually needed to use this while they were on a 1.5 week power outage. So again, if you have a story like that and you've been watching for the last 5 years and you have some cool story, let us know. We would love to share it. Again, marfooglenews.com/prep. Bobby, you are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on and how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Marf?
I'm doing great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So you have an interesting subject. I'll leave it to you.
Okay, I love your channel, by the way, and your music is really good. It's so entertaining. You're really talented, Marv. You really are.
Oh, well, thank you, Bobby.
And I just, I have an interesting story. This happened a couple years ago. I have like a side plant business where I sell stuff like plants and stuff at flea markets. And like 2 years ago, I ran into this lady. This lady came up to my booth, and my buddy that goes to the flea market with me, he had like some chemistry stuff set up for sale. And this lady came up and she's like, "Oh, I know what this is, and I know what this is, I know what this is." We're like, "Wait, you really know your stuff, you know? Like, what do you do?" She's like, "Well, I'm a chemist for the government." And I was like, "Really? Like, how far up are you?" She's like, "Well, I'm not gonna say," but she said she was kind of high up there. Anyways, so I was like, I gotta ask this lady some questions. I'm gonna see if she's gonna answer me. So I asked her. I said, "Hey, what is up with JB? Like, honestly, just what is the deal there?" And she said, "Well, him and HRC were put out in 2017, and the real JB is played by two different actors, and there's an actor that plays for HRC. And if you're thinking of three letters, you're probably right. But it makes so much sense, because she's like, "If you don't believe me," I said, "No, I believe her. I believe everything this woman was saying. She had nothing to hide. Like, she didn't know me. I didn't know her. It was just a random encounter with a stranger, you know?" And I believed her, but I asked her some other questions, which I don't know. I don't feel comfortable talking about, and it was some crazy stuff. But I asked her, I said, "So what's his deal with aliens?" And she said, "Well, on June, I think it was June 21st, she said they're going to have Fantastic Freddy, and that'll be, you know, they'll say, yeah, it's true." And sure enough, like, I'm so bad with
what happened 2 days ago?
I'm pretty sure.
That's 2 days ago, right? So what?
Well, no, they came out and they said, "Hey, they're real, they exist and really happened." So, I mean, I know she wasn't lying. So, but she said, anyways, she said, "If you don't believe me about the actors thing," she said, "just look up on YouTube or videos of him and her before 2017 to videos now, and you can tell the difference. Like, it's blatantly obvious that that's not him."
Oh, and again, there's a lot of, and it's actually hard to do hair implants that old too. It is crazy the eyebrow. So I looked at pictures like that, and that like the eyebrows and stuff were dark, and yes, they could go gray. So that could change your appearance. But it was like overall structure. I did see some pictures of the before and after. It is kind of a trip.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he has a whole different facial structure. His was more boxy type, you know what I mean? And now it's just like, I don't know. It's weird.
So as far as
we live in a weird world.
As far as what is going on right now, Bobby, what do you think? What do you think the timeline on what's going on? Do you think do you think that we are heading into a conflict?
We have less than 20 years. We have less than 20 years, Marv.
For the world?
Yeah.
Or for war?
Micronova.
Oh.
The Micronova is coming. Do you ever watch Ben Davidson, Suspicious Observers? He will change your life, man.
I don't have time to, but I respect him, and I do cover, like, when the Earth's core supposedly stopped. I did at least show his view of it too, because I covered the mainstream side of it, which was the Earth's core stopped. He said that was total BS. So I did want people to know his theory on that it happens all the time. But there's a lot of weird stuff. He also said that doesn't mean that there's any less risk. He talks about the pole shift and all of that. I've watched some of his kind of closer to documentary type stuff. He does great videos. Puts a lot of work into it.
Yeah, he does. Anyways, that was my story.
So do you think if the micronova hits, do you think that's why they're trying to get people to the moon and then to Mars? Or it won't be any different on Mars?
So, okay, here's the thing. Earth has this atmosphere that encases the moon, but it doesn't go much further than that. It's like a big bubble is our atmosphere. Technically, humans cannot go past the bubble, whatever you want to call it, because their bodies will start to disintegrate because it doesn't hold the right. It'll just, the pressure, it would kill us no matter what kind of suit you wear. Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm double sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know. Like, the whole thing was going to Mars. He's not a real person. He was created in a lab
Elon?
by Walt Disney and AC. Yeah. And that's why his kids had to be artificially, and there is a book that came out in the 50s about a guy named his name, and he goes to the moon, or he goes to Mars. The reason why everybody's trying to get off Earth is because the micronova is coming, and when that happens, basically what happens is the sun, kind of like sneezes, I guess. It just explodes, and it sends all that plasma, and as soon as it hits the Earth, it's going to cause a couple mile high tidal wave. Last time this happens every 12,000 years. And we're overdue. And last time it happened, the water made it over the Rocky Mountains. The wave from the Pacific up through the Mississippi and Louisiana, the water is going to go, there's going to be a huge wave. The water is going to go all the way up to the Great Lakes. And we live, because I'm from St. Louis, so I'm on the New Madrid, and it's scary, but I mean, I can't really move. The weight of the water is going to break the fault line. That's one of the biggest fault lines in North America, but it's not ever really talked about because when it hits, the last time it hit was like in 1859, and it was like, they think was over a 7-pointer, and they felt it all the way in Canada and New York, and I think they felt it in California too. But anyways, when this micronova happens, the weight of the water that came up, it's gonna break it, and then it's gonna sink, and we're gonna have oceanfront property in the Midwest. There's gonna be ocean in between the East and the West Coast.
So, Bobby,
There's only a few places. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Did you see that? And this is totally. They said it was because how mainstream media put out this story. They said that there's a plan that Russia and Putin put together called Noah's Ark. They dubbed it Noah's Ark, and they said in this that it's his secret escape plan. Say everything goes south, we invade Russia, and we're about to take over. He has set up an escape plan with his leadership, and the escape plan is called Noah's Ark. They dubbed it Noah's Ark. Now, this is the same man who supposedly has a tsunami nuke that can create a nuke that creates a 1,500-pound wave or 1,500-foot wave. But this came out.
Who is this?
And they said, Putin. I'm sharing it right on the screen so you can see. This is a mainstream story. Nobody covered it past one day. but it was a secret plan called, and this is MSN.com. It's all, it's on CNN, Fox, everywhere covered it, but it was one day. Just one day they covered it, and then it was nothing, right? But also they have so just given some sort of credence to the whole either micronova or some sort of wave or pole shift thing. I just think it's kind of odd that he dubbed it Noah's Ark, and they of course have been putting seeds in banks, the seeds of every kind of plant. They've been putting DNA of every animal, and they say they plan to ship it to the moon. So I know what you probably have people say you're crazy.
Been done.
Go ahead.
No, I said supposedly that's already been done, sent to the moon. Like, I believe personally that we have been to the moon, but the footage that they showed on television was fake, because that's how they found out about the micronova, is from the glass on the moon, and the moon isn't even real. It's fake. It's a satellite. You can actually like drive it. It moves and it lights up and it does all kinds of stuff, but that's a whole different story.
Well, again,
some people just, they don't want to talk about this kind of stuff because it's.
Well, that's okay, Bobby. Everybody has an opinion, and you never know when a crazy thought might intercept with the truth. There was a piece from space.com, and this was all over too. Scientists want to send 335 million seeds, sperm and egg samples to the moon to create a lunar Noah's Ark. Again, Noah's Ark keeps popping up over the last few years, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, some sort of meeting. Oh, and by the way, somebody pointed out, within a week or so of some sort of meeting with President T-Man, Orange Man, and I'm trying to remember what it was. There was and this was on A&E or History Channel, and they did this thing, and they said that there was a meeting about space, and then all of a sudden they have Space Force. Like the next week they declared that they're going to have a Space Force, and they said it was related to an asteroid meeting. And that's what it really, I'll have to go back and find that clip. I wanted to post it on Twitter because it was so wild, and I didn't realize that this coincided with this crazy event. And then all of a sudden they're testing DART, they're testing all this. That's a side theory that I think is a little bit more crazy on my end. But again, I think that the truth often coincides with these crazy thoughts. And honestly, the truth is stranger than fiction. Bobby, we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Did you want to say one more thing before you go?
No, that's it. I love your channel, Marv.
Well, thank you for calling in, Bobby, and I appreciate you. And thank you so much.
Okay, have a good night.
All right, you too. As far as the micronova theory, there's the cyclical kind of theory there, and we have shared that. If you actually look up micronova on marfooglenews.com, you will find this is what's cool. So if you go to our website, go to the search in the corner, you can type up micronova. Oops, I got a space. And you can see all of the shows that we've talked about micronovas. And then when you click on any of those shows, you can actually go to the show page, and then it then has the archived bibliography for that show. So then you can go back, kind of a time capsule in time, with all of the previous news articles and everything else. See, again, you can actually go through and then find the article talking about the micronova. So just want to throw that out there. If you remember a story or remember a general topic and you can't remember when it happened, that's why we have done this as well. So you can go back and find it, utilize it for your own research, and we give you that information. As far as there's some more stories here, there's a couple things here, but there was a mysterious creature reported in downtown Alton. Again, we'll possibly hit that tomorrow. This has just been an insane thing. Dex, the web only, can you tell them how to get there? as far as the web-only content?
Information and this thing called Overflow, where the rest of the story is, all of the other news that we couldn't get in the show, it's on our website. And to get there, just go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link. It's down below in the description.
And of course, you can access all of that, marfooglenews.com. You'll see the videos, you'll see the tweets, you'll see everything there. And again, great place. Also, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Again, thank you, Judy L., for subscribing. Thank you, Winnie T., John Holiday. Thank you for subscribing. Jerry Shirts, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the new members. Thank you, Texas Rob 49. Says, great new graphics, Adam. Boom, I got this. Hey, thank you so much. Did a back-to-back Ninja Guineas over on D-Live. Thank you, and thank you. And can't forget Dex. Boom. Hey, thank you, Texas Rob. I believe you are the top supporter over on D-Live. And then thank you on YouTube. Thank you for all of your guys' support. And thank you, Janet Ruth Haynes. Thank you, Emily Hillard. Thank you, Stephen McMahon. Thank you, Desert Nurse. Thank you, Blue Boy. Thank you, James Wright. Thank you, Bill Fortenberry, Woman of Wonder, Heath Spear. And, of course, You Are Soul, Ray the Way, Ian DeBow, Zen1AZ, Drew O'Connor, and B-Real Beast. Thank you, guys. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Remember, the show continues over on Marfoogle Jams after about 2 minutes. I'll be, of course, making a song for Emily Hillard and Joe Hillard. Thank you, guys. Love you. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
These mothers are so corrupt. Politicians.
Drop an M in the chat for our mods right now. Let's hear it.
These mothers are so corrupt. Politicians setting us up. These mothers are so corrupt. Politicians setting us up. These mothers are so corrupt. Politicians setting us up. Is it really time to bug out?